Hey bestie, if you are feeling overwhelmed by that constant juggle of work, family, life, and that little voice in the back of your head telling you to take care of yourself, you've come to the right place. I'm Alanis, your habit tracking BFF, and you are listening to Down the Habit Hole. My mission is to help women just like you master their chaos through the power of habits. So go ahead, grab a little drinky drink, and listen up as we dive down the habit hole together and talk through productivity, burnout, decision fatigue, and everything in between.
Hey, happy Monday. Welcome to a new week and a new episode of Down the Habit Hole. You may or may not have noticed that I took last week off, and that is because your girl was not doing so hot. I had some kind of respiratory thing that took me out for a good few days, and I just wasn't able to put up my best work. So instead of giving you some half-assed episode, I opted to just take a few days to rest in hopes that I could get back up and at it sooner. But I am back this week, and while I'm sure you can still hear it in my voice a bit, I am feeling much better and I am ready to get right back into it with you. So with all that being said, today we are, of course, diving deep into the habit hole and talking about all the different routines that we have, big or small, and how to, 1, identify if and how your habits might actually be holding you back, and 2, how to make that pivot towards better routines and practices that will empower you to really start putting your head down, blinders on, and getting to work towards those big, hairy, audacious goals that I know you have. About once a month, like clockwork, my emotions and hormones get the best of me, and I spend a few days literally questioning everything I've ever worked for and considering burning it all to the ground and giving up. And I'm sure you've been there too. For me, it aligns perfectly with my cycle, and so I finally learned from over time that often I just need to sit with my thoughts and feelings for a few days, and generally I do get over it. Come back down to earth and recognize that the systems and routines that I currently have in place are from years of trial and error and are carefully crafted to align with where I currently am and where I want to go. But every once in a while, I'll sit on those feelings for longer than a few days, and I'll really start to identify with feeling like maybe something I'm doing just isn't working anymore, or even could just be working better. But how are you supposed to determine whether whatever you might be feeling is just an on a whim, fleeting thought because your blood sugar's tanked or your hormones are just all over the place, or if it really is your intuition trying to tell you that it's time to make a change? That's exactly what we are jumping into today. I call it a habit hangover. It's that feeling of stagnation or frustration when you're starting to feel like your habits just don't align with your goals. It might be because you're already crushing goal after goal and life is just starting to look a little bit different than it was when you first started crafting those routines, and maybe now you just need to make some adjustments. Or, and this might be some tough love here, maybe you've crafted your routines based on what you think your life should look like, based on what you see when you're scrolling Instagram. And in reality, the habits that you're trying to embody just don't align with what you want your life to look like. We all get these habit hangovers from time to time. It could be something as simple as that you've picked up some habits that you'd consider to be less than favorable, like hitting the snooze button 15 times every morning, or mindlessly getting caught in the social media scroll hole. Or again, maybe your goals just changed or something in your life changed, and now you're just planning for your future to look a little bit different than what was once your plan. The key here is to take into account how these habits are impacting your energy, productivity, and progress towards the dreams and goals that you are working for. If you're looking for some extra credit here, take a minute right now to pause this episode, grab your journal, and reflect on your current habits. Do any of them leave you feeling drained or unmotivated? But before you go slashing every habit and routine you've ever created because in the moment you just feel like they're all trash and they're not working for you at all, take some time to think about what you want your dream life to look like. If you're needing some help with this, I did a whole episode on it a few weeks ago. I'll link it in the show notes below. It's called How to Start Living a Life That You're Obsessed With Today. But in the meantime, in case you missed it, today we'll just recap. Basically, I want you to consider how the perfect you would be living her dream life. What are her goals, values, and aspirations? What time would she wake up? What kind of foods would she be fueling her body with? How often does she exercise? Take all of this information into account down to the literal minute, and then compare and contrast. Are the habits and routines that you're currently implementing aligned with how perfect you would be living her life? If so, you probably just need to take a breather and grab a snack. Trust the process and just keep showing up for yourself every day. But if not, then bestie, I agree. It's time to make some tweaks. Remember that the goal is 1% better every day. Maybe you need to start going to bed an hour earlier so you can easily hop out of bed in the morning instead of hitting snooze. Or putting some more intentionality into your grocery list in order to stay within your budget or get in some healthier food choices. By getting so very crystal clear on your dreams, identifying the habits and routines that you should start putting into place should be easy breezy, lemon squeezy, or whatever the saying is. Anyways, let's put this plan into action. Pull out your current habit tracker, because I know you have one if you're listening to this podcast, and analyze your current habits. For each task on your habit tracker, ask yourself, does this habit fuel me or does it drain me? Does it move me closer to my goals or further away? Be super honest with yourself, because we are very self-aware girlies up in here. I'll even do it with you for the first few things on mine. Number 1 on my habit tracker is to eat a pre-workout snack, which I think we can both agree definitely fuels me as long as I'm making the right food choices. Right now, since we're in the peak of summer, I'm favoring a small serving of fruit, which works super well for me. But even in the wintertime, I usually have a single apple toaster strudel, which, while admittedly is a bit higher in calories, still it brings me joy, and at least there's still some fruit in it. And the main goal for this is to break my fast with something small, since I also work out right away in the morning, and to get some food in my belly before I drink any caffeine, usually my Alani Nutrition pre-workout. Which brings me to number 2 on my tracker, which is to mix up my pre-workout. I usually do this at the same time while I'm grabbing my breakfast, because then I can take both over to the couch and enjoy my snack and drink my pre-workout together. And again, I believe that this habit definitely fuels me and moves me closer to my goals. Number 3 is that I wake up my Instagram by posting on my stories right away in the morning, usually just to say good morning and check in a little bit. I usually do this, again, while I'm sitting on the couch eating my snack and drinking my pre-workout. And admittedly, this is sometimes a bit time-wasting because I frequently get distracted and start doom scrolling. But the intent behind it is to move me towards my goals by connecting with my friends on socials. Which reminds me, if you're not following me yet, I am at Down the Habit Hole Pod on Instagram. Feel free to shoot me a DM so we can be friends. But anyways, my saving grace here is that since I'm usually drinking my pre-workout at the same time, if I do get caught up in scrolling, the pre-workout eventually kicks in, which will always prompt me to get up and get moving. Always have some fail-safes in place for things like this. And then number 4 on my habit tracker is to fill my water bottle, which again, generally is fueling me and moving me towards some of my core values, and that I want to be the healthiest version of me that I can be. And then the last one that I'll go over with you today is to work out, which again, definitely gives me some energy to tackle the day and aligns with my core values and aspirations. And don't worry if your habits maybe aren't feeling as aligned as mine seem. I only share these with you to impress upon you that I have been carefully crafting my habit tracker for years to align with the person that I want to be. And with a little elbow grease, I can say with confidence that you'll get there too if you follow these tips and be open to reevaluate yourself every few months when needed. And now that you've been able to identify some of your limiting habits, we can talk about how to pivot them. I want you to focus on replacing, not just removing, your less favorable, or dare I say it, bad habits. This will help you in reducing any resistance that you might be feeling on giving up the old habit, and it will also help you be able to sustain the new habits. Maybe you swap doom scrolling with 10 minutes of reading, or late night snacking with drinking a glass of water. Just start small, remember 1% better every day, and always celebrate even the smallest of wins. I like to journal every morning 3 wins that I experienced the day before to help me keep in tune with my growth and gratitude. Progress over perfection, always. And then, once you've mastered replacing your habits, consider using habit stacking as a method to introduce even more good habits into your routines. As a reminder, habit stacking is pairing a new habit with an already existing one. So maybe, for example, while you're waiting for your coffee to brew in the morning, you do 15 squats. Or after you brush your teeth at night, look in the mirror and say 5 affirmations out loud to yourself. Adding in habits like this will help you to create a trigger, think like Pavlov's dogs, to remind you to follow through on the new habits that you're wanting to implement. And of course, I know I don't have to tell you, but using some kind of habit tracking method, like a digital app or even just a pen and paper approach, will also do you wonders in successfully showing up for yourself each and every day. And on a related note, if you haven't heard, I actually just launched a Dream Life Tracker template on my website, alanis.life, if you're wanting to get a digital copy of your very own habit tracking template. Again, my website is alanis.life, And I'll even link it down below for you in the show notes because I know you're a busy lady and I am, of course, here to make your life easier, not more complicated. So anyways, to wrap it all up, no matter what habits you decide to keep, improve, or just trash completely, remember that the underlying goal is just to feel like you're improving, even if it's just by 1% a day, and pushing ahead towards your goals. So again, it's super important to be very crystal clear about what the goal actually is, so that you have a clear way to measure your results and determine whether or not a pivot is necessary. Your goals are your own and should very rarely be based on outside influence, so listen to your intuition. Trust the process because small habits practiced on a consistent basis over time lead to huge results. And until next time, friend, you have the power to change your habits and change your life.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Down the Habit Hole with me, Alanis Van Duzer. Remember, you're not alone in this journey to balancing your chaos. Join me over on Instagram at Down the Habit Hole Pod. And don't be shy, slide into my DMs. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode, answer your burning questions, or even just have a little chat. Plus, if you share this episode on your Instagram story and tag me at Down the Habit Hole Pod, I'll be picking one lucky listener each week to win Starbucks on me. Until next time, friend, may your coffee be strong and your to-do list be short.